In 1917, pressure on the Tsar becomes too great to resist. In March of 1917, the Tsar abdicates the throne, ending 300 years, remember, 300 years of Romanov rule, while the rest of Europe is going through fundamental governmental transformations, beginning with the French and American revolutions in the 1700s. Russia had remained under imperial rule. The Tsar abdicates. The Tsar had been discredited. The military was relatively ineffective. 1 million men had died during the war thus far. The economy was a mess. People were miserable. It was time, people argued, for a change, and the Tsar steps down. The Duma, which is a government that had been established after the 1905 revolution, takes control or asserts its authority and organizes a provisional government, a transitional government, a government that will step in and apply, hopefully, some of the principles that those who had been critiquing the Tsarist government were hoping for. People saw this as the rise of a new type of government, although there were many different, as we discussed, many different interpretations of what that might mean. In the provisional government after March of 1917, Palchinski plays a prominent role. The government is a mix of people from the Bolsheviks, which are the more orthodox Leninists, who are arguing for a vanguard party to take the lead in organizing a post-revolutionary society, to the anarchists who, like Palchinski, were arguing for local autonomy with some sort of national coordination, but with the emphasis on the local control. Step back and think for a minute what might happen. Try and imagine what might have happened if this sort of system had indeed remained in place, if Palchinski and people like him had remained in power as part of a transitional move from the traditional Tsarist regime to something new. But that's not what happened. During 1917, across Russia, the Bolsheviks gained power. The Bolsheviks, again arguing for a vanguard party to step up and take control, to assume and assert leadership in a post-revolutionary society. They asserted their power within the Soviets. The Soviets were workers' councils which had formed in many localities, towns, cities around Russia. And in the Soviets, in the new workers' councils, which were related to be connected with the new provisional government, the Bolsheviks increasingly gained control, often under the slogan, "Peace, land, bread." Peace to end the war. Land for people, because under the Tsarist regime, all land was held in the hands of the nobility. And peasants were poor. Peasants had, for 300 years and more, did not own, did not have access to their own land. And bread, finally, because during the war, food was scarce. So under the leadership of Lenin, the Bolsheviks gained power, gained support, until finally, late in the year, in October of the same year, 1917, the Bolsheviks stormed the Winter Palace, where the provisional government was meeting, including Palchinski, and replace the provisional government, and indeed the Duma. The Bolshevik organization takes power. Now, Palchinski, who is now associated with the moderates and it's somewhat questionable in orientation, is jailed along with other members of the provisional government, although after a period of time he's released. So we go through a second transition we've gone from the Tsarist regime to the provisional government and now on to the Bolsheviks.